further ado, our guest speaker today. Oh, I feel so blessed. This is a humble man. I begged him for a bio. He said no. He's not giving me a bio. I need to introduce him as a humble greengrocer that has been blessed. Sure, and I can cry. Gary, come. Wow, your humility and what you've achieved. He's been in startup. He'll share his story. Started up from a garage, and he's changing people's lives and health. And yeah, it moves me. He's a humble man. He's a wonderful man, and we really look forward to what you have for us today. Should we start your video?
Yeah.
Right, we've got a video that Gary's asked to play before he kicks off.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a job creator. So God made a small business owner. God said, I need somebody willing to sit up all night worrying about how to make payroll. I need somebody who's okay with paying their employees before they make a single dollar. I need someone who will take all the risk to sign the front of the check so that others have the privilege of signing the back. I need someone who will risk their life savings just to break even every year and hope that the next will be better. So God made a small business owner. I need somebody with a personality strong enough to handle a complaining customer and yet gentle enough to train a new employee. Somebody to run payroll, stock the shelves, skip lunch, run across town to hand deliver an order to an elderly customer, work late, and not get back to your house until 10:30 p.m. So God made a small business owner. I need someone who will work 70 hours a week, every week, and be able to tolerate the media and even their own friends saying that business owners aren't paying their fair share. So God made a small business owner. God had to have somebody willing to always put the customer first, sometimes even before their own family. God needed someone willing to open early, stay open late, miss their kids' baseball games just so that other parents wouldn't have to. So God made a small business owner. God needed someone who would get people what they need, when they needed it, for a fair price. Someone who could be a living example of the old-fashioned virtues of self-reliance, hard work, and not spending more than you make. God needed someone to keep the American dream alive.
So God made a small business owner.
Good morning. They've said it all. It's amazing. So I was volunteered. I did not volunteer for this talk. I'm up here by duress, and I'm incredibly nervous. But I thought one thought on the way here. The people in the room are my brothers because they've also had the hardships of small business. And if you are running a business or you're thinking of running a business, then I'm relaxed because I've been there in the trench and I know exactly what it's like. And so hopefully I can connect with you this morning. So, most of you probably don't know me, and I need to give you a very, very brief overview in terms of what has happened in my life, and I'll give you a quick synopsis. So, born in Johannesburg, at 15 months old, was told that I am allergic to protein. I was told that I have some condition that the doctors couldn't understand, and I had manifested in eczema and rash and vomiting and reflux, and it was just weird. So they put me on soya bean milk because I couldn't take breast milk. They tried me on a formula, it didn't work. So I wasn't a happy camper when I popped out, and nor was my mom. And so my first 5 years of my life, it wasn't cool. It really wasn't cool. And the kind of symptoms I had was, imagine continual hay fever, like all day. Runny nose, eczema showing, heat, like looking like heat rash, very dry skin. There was definitely something wrong. And the doctors at the time, the best they could come up with is he's allergic to protein. And that was hard for me because protein is a big thing in diet. So I then went to primary school, and I very quickly got the name Wet Hanky. And that was because I was always blowing my nose, and then I put my hanky in my pocket, and then my hanky was so wet it would wet my pants, and then they would call me other stuff, which I won't say today because I'm in the church. And so I then, having not been taught Afrikaans, was taught Afrikaans. I was laughed at a lot, and what I did was start a stutter. And I stuttered right the way through into high school. But it was a tough one because when you stutter, you can sometimes change your words and then get past those tough words. But for me, my name, and I still don't enjoy my name because it was a stutter word for me, couldn't get the Gary out. So I always introduced myself at school as Jackson, Gary Jackson. And I had this one teacher who didn't like me doing that. And he forced me to say my name first, and I would stand in front of that class stuttering, and it was absolutely terrible. So, yeah, I just, really didn't enjoy my time in primary school. And my dad, bless his soul, decided that he should move me out of the primary school that I was in and move me to Elani, what he called Elani High School. And so he did exactly that. He put me into a very posh school, which was an academic school. And that didn't help my stuttering. It made it 10 times worse. Because I came from the wrong side of town, and my accent was rough, and I went to this fancy school, and those people didn't understand me, and it took a while to make friends, and it was a rough time. And then took 2 or 3 years. My health problems were still there. I still felt fatigue. Samantha, Hashimoto's autoimmune disease. I didn't know that. I only found that out a few years ago, but I have that problem too, so I hear you. And it is a tough one. And I then found myself leaving high school, doing well, actually finishing great. The principal that had to interview me to get into this posh high school refused. He absolutely refused to put me in this school. He didn't think I think he used the right material or the right fabric, or I can't remember what he said. But he was an oldish guy, and I didn't enjoy him. He had a terrible name as well, Mr. Powis. I'll never forget that. Anyway, so what happened is that 2 years in, I think what worked for me was I got my accent a little bit poshed up. And so being in Cape Town, I made some friends just by fixing my accent a little bit. And I did quite well at sports, and so I got some recognition on the sport field. And amazing thing happened in Standard 8. They called me up in assembly, and they said, so we're going to announce the All-Rounder Award. This is a guy that does well academically, does well in sport. And the guy called me up. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I won that award. And then it was like a turning point in my life where I thought, hang on a minute, there is something inside me. There's more I have to offer. And so I then got into school in a serious way. Like, said, okay, I can do this. There is something there. I got into every school play. I played my heart out in sports, and academically, I was very challenged, really challenged. It's a total miracle as I stand here today that I got through school, and even a bigger miracle that I've got a university entrance at the end of matric, which is another miracle. But the miracles don't stop. The next miracle was I ended up at GCT studying and doing business science and trying my best, scraping that 50.1. You just needed 50% to pass. And if you didn't get 50%, but you got 48, you came back in the holidays and you wrote your exams, and I did that over and over, and I missed my holidays. It was crazy, but somehow at the end I got that degree, and I still can't remember what they taught me. So then my dad told me that the way to go is that if you're in South Africa, you have to be a miner. So you have to work in the mines, because that's gold. You've got to go to Joburg, you've got to leave Cape Town, and that's your destiny. And I was horrified. I couldn't think of anything worse. I enjoyed surfing, I enjoyed tequila, and I enjoyed hamburgers. And so it didn't sound like exciting stuff, but my dad knew best, and he sent me up to Joburg, and I looked for a job. And I could not get a job. No one wanted to hire me, even though I had a degree. So not much has changed, has it? Because if you've got a degree today, you still can't get a job. Even if you've got an MBA today, you can't get a job. It's insane. So anyway, I then worked in corporate and worked really, really hard at not being fired. But like daily, every day. Couldn't, absolute fish out of water syndrome. I was put in to manage stuff, and I didn't know what I was doing, had no experience. It was a nightmare. But what I had done, and it goes back to what you said earlier, Sam, about a letter. In Standard 5, that was the year before I went to the Lani school, I watched an American movie, something like that. And I saw this fast food chain called McDonald's, and I thought this was the bee's knees. I don't know what it was, but I felt a strong calling that it was absolutely something that I had to do. I loved that concept, and obviously I knew that I loved burgers. And someone at some talk somewhere said, "You must follow your passion." So I thought, well, I am. I love burgers. I didn't go the tequila route, thank goodness. Thank you, Lord. And then I wrote a letter by hand to McDonald's head office in Standard 5 in South Africa, and I posted it. My dad helped me get the stamps, sealed it, licked it, off it went. Didn't hear a thing. Every 2 years, my dad said, "No, write again, and we did. Every 2 years, wrote a letter saying, if you're ever in South Africa, I'm a really hamburger fan, and I really would love to own a McDonald's one day. That'll be really awesome." And so I kept on writing the letters, and in 94, when South Africa changed for the best, I got a phone call one night from an American. And he said to me, "Hello, is that Gary?" And I went, "Yeah." So I thought, okay, I'm being scammed here. There's this guy, I've won $20,000 or something. And he spoke, and I don't think I even heard what he said, but I was, kept on wanting to put the phone down. And he kept saying, "I'm from McDonald's, and I'm from head office, and we're coming to South Africa, and you're on our list of people that we want to chat to. We found your letters in a file." So I went, okay. And I didn't believe it. So anyway, he said he'll be in South Africa in November of 1994. And the phone rang again. I got a letter, actually. I got an email. I don't know if we had emails then, but I got something that said, "Come to Sandton Convention Center and come for an interview." Did that, and went through a whole long process. And after about a year and a half, got the call to join the training program to become a franchisee for McDonald's. I thought, "Yes, that's incredible. This must be my calling, thank you, God." Got on my knees, prayed. It's fantastic, and off I went. And did that, graduated really quickly, ate a lot of hamburgers while I was there, and got another degree, which is a weird degree. It's called the degree of hamburgerology. Have got it in my study. It's an actual degree, and it taught you everything about the food business, which was awesome. Loved my time. I got back to South Africa. I was offered a store. After a year, offered another one. Eventually, I had 4 stores, and I ran these McDonald's stores like there was no tomorrow. I then I then turned around. Thanks. Now you're setting me up. I then ran these stores for 7 years and progressively felt sicker and sicker and sicker. And I always thought it was the stress. And I know you're not supposed to eat McDonald's 3 times a day, every day, and work 18 hours and run between your stores like a lunatic because you wanted to check the quality, so you had no choice. You had to. And for me, eating a bite of a burger and not finishing it just seemed like a hell of a waste. So I ended up eating the whole burger. And I progressively got sick, and I don't think it was necessarily the McDonald's food, because it is a very good brand and the most hygienic burger you can buy. However, it's well preserved, and that was an issue for me. Because they're the same all over the world, and how'd you get that right? It's a little spooky, but they never told me. I always asked that question. But at the end of the day, that was what happened, and I just got ill. It was the stress, I think, probably the autoimmunity that kicked in, poor diet, lack of sleep, probably not drinking enough water and too much Coke. And it culminated in me walking into the MD's office of McDonald's and giving my keys back and saying, I'm done, I can't. I didn't know what I was going to do next, but I knew I had to go. I was sick. I was really, really ill. I had kidney stones that were like golf balls, no, a bit smaller than a golf ball, but they were horrible. I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, brain fog. It was so bad that I couldn't even remember my managers' names. I'd walk in and everyone would be a blur. It was like someone had messed with my eyes. No energy, it was really bad. And I just knew that this wasn't for me. There must be something else. And off I went and sold those businesses and took a year off to find something better. And I did. I got a call out of the blue from Woolies, another miracle. Simon Sisman at the time said, look, we heard you're quite a good franchisee, and we want to franchise the Woolworths small food stores. And they then gave me a call, and they asked me to come in and do a presentation on how they could franchise all the stores. And at the end of a couple of presentations, he said to me, in front of the whole board, he said, yes, you've got a velvet tongue, you really have her. And you speak a good story, but can you do what you say? And I looked at him and I said, of course I can. He said, all right, I'll tell you what, let's do this. I'll put you in our worst performing store in South Africa. It happened to be in Bryanston, which was weird. Don't know how that worked, but it was. And he said, in 3 months, if you can hit what you projected we could do in 3 months, then I will sell you that store at cost without goodwill. And I thought, okay, that's fair enough. Needless to say, it took me 2 months, and I hit the KPIs, and they were very excited, and they thought this was fantastic. And I then carried on performing well, learning that business. And again, after 7 years, I don't know why it's always 7 years, maybe it's biblical, but 7 years, I decided to give that up because I had this burning thing to open my own thing, which was in my head somewhere, blurry out there, this vision. I had this thought, and I thought, I've got to follow that. So I turned 50. My wife looks at me and says, you keep talking about this thing, and you're going to die an unhappy man unless you do this. And so I did. And I developed what we now call Jackson's Real Food Market. And we started in a little garage, like you said earlier. 2 cars could fit in that little store. Charmaine knows that she's here supporting me today. And I don't know how it happened, but it was a fast-forward movie. We now have 2,000 square meter stores, and we're doing huge amounts of transactions, up to 50 to 60,000 transactions a month, which is incredible. And the journey's been crazy, and sure, just nothing that we've accomplished as a team or I've done was ever possible in the natural world. And I promise you, if you saw my Standard 5 report. I didn't put it up today, but you would believe me. And if you saw my varsity testimonial, you have this thing. It's called a transcript. I remember that. Transcript was your actual scores. So you had a degree, but then they got clever in businesses. They said, "Can I see your transcript?" And my transcript was nasty. It was 50.1, 50.2. And so it's been a lifetime of failures, and we still haven't actually won, or we still haven't had a victory. We're still working. We're still at it. We haven't got to the point where we can say, "Geez, we've now achieved it," because I don't honestly believe you ever get to that point. So, there's a lot to share, but I thought what I would do today is share 13 principles that have guided me right through from my very first business venture when I was 16, which was selling strawberry jam. And what I did was I went to Checkers, and I bought all their fraught strawberries at a really good price, and then I took those strawberries and I made a jam. I can really make a wicked strawberry jam if anyone ever needs one. I still can. And I got in and went door to door and sold the strawberry jam. And eventually the Checkers manager heard about me and heard that I'm now selling groceries at his customers' homes, and he stopped selling strawberries to me. He just said, "That's it, we're done. These customers are buying from you," and I got my first snort clap of what the real business world is about. And so I stopped doing that, and I carried on. My next job was an awesome job. It was a potato peeler. And I got a job because I worked from Standard 8, which is grade 10. I worked in restaurants in those days, I don't know, the kids today apparently get pocket money. In my day, no pocket money. If you want to go to the movies, you have to find a job, earn the money, go to the movies. And it's a pity that it isn't like that anymore, because it forced me to get some real cool work experience. And I learned a whole bunch of things. But my favorite was the potato peeler station. The guy looked at me, Alan Amber from Spur, Golden Spur Newlands, looked at me and he said, "Nah, you don't look like a waitress, and you don't look like someone who can cook, and I don't know what we can do with you." But I said to him, "Alan, just any job, I need a job, I just need a job." And he said, "Okay, cool. I'll give you 3 hours and you can peel potatoes." I said, "Done." Got to the back. Luckily, I knew how to work a potato peeler. My mom taught me. And I went to the back and I started peeling potatoes. And after the 3 hours, he came back and he said, "So how many potatoes have you peeled?" And I showed him all the empty bags that I had peeled. And he looked and he went, "Geez, that's pretty good. Okay, you can come tomorrow." And the next day I did the same, and the next day I did the same, and the next day I did the same. But eventually, he gave me a job as a permanent potato peeler. It's fantastic. I was the best potato peeler in South Africa. I really was. And so I learned so much about that, because if you can do any job you get given with humility, and you do it hard, and you put everything into it as if there's no tomorrow, you can only get better. And it did get better, and I learned a quick lesson to say, "Okay, that's cool." Now he said to me, "Do you think you could teach some other people how to peel potatoes?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And he brought me 3 people, and I taught them how to peel those potatoes, and eventually made me the supervisor of the potato team. And I got 4 rand more a day. It was lovely. And then once the potatoes were working, now I set the benchmark, and these poor guys who came in after me had to peel potatoes, we want to see 10 empty pockets at the end of your shift. It was tough. Then he put me onto desserts, and I learned to make cheesecake. I can also make a wicked cheesecake. In those days, the Spur did proper, you had to make it by hand in a big steel thing, put the eggs in and the sugar and the cheese, and you mixed it and you made this cake. It was amazing. Nowadays, it's just a packet, and they put water in, and it doesn't taste the same. It was called Chattanooga cheesecake. It was one of my first addictions. Not that I've had many, but it was one of them, after the burgers. And so I worked and worked and worked, and eventually, by just getting up every day and doing what they needed me to do and add value to that business. And by peeling those potatoes every day, I got respect, I got a reputation, and I eventually got thrown at loads of problems because I then just solved problems, and that was great. Eventually, I looked up and I was the manager of the Spur. And that was awesome because I could earn money. It was a little tricky, though, because while I was at university, I had quite a tough time. And this is no excuse for my bad transcript. But I would wake up in the morning, and I would go to the restaurant that I ran at the time, set up for breakfast, rush to lectures, come back at lunch, do the lunch rush, go back to tutorials in the afternoon, and then run back to the evening and do the dinner rush, and then go home and study, and then sleep, and repeat for 4 years. I learned a lot, very humbling time. So, the principles that I want to talk about, the first one is find your gift and your passion, and it's never too late. So you have to understand this principle clearly, and that is each and every single one of you, whether you are 82 or 8, you have been given a gift from God. He gave you a gift, and it's there somewhere inside you. And somehow you've got to find the way, and that's the first challenge He gives you. You have to get that gift, and you've got to dig for it, and it's got to be something that you love and that you want, and it is there. So don't think, no, I'm not interested in anything. You are. It's there. You just got to find it. And it's never, never too late. I mean, we only started Jackson's when I was 50. KFC, the old Colonel Saunders, he was 51 when he started KFC. It's just incredible. So you can never, ever give up on yourself. Second most important principle, get on your knees every day. Every day. You have to pray. You have to pray and you have to give thanks. Those are the two things. And you never start a prayer without saying thank you. It's my opening thing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've got this long list of requests that I have, but I keep them on the back burner. I go through everything in my life that I'm thankful for. And then at the end, I give my list. And then what I used to do for 40 years was get up and rush and go and do my next job. Now I stop and keep quiet. And I listen a bit at the end. Because it is a conversation. It's like me phoning you and going, what do I, here's my day, this is what I did, and this is what happened, bye, and you haven't told me about your day. So it has to be a two-way thing. And so slowly over time, I've learned that you have to sit in quietness. And it's not called a quiet time for nothing. It's just to sit and be quiet. Just wait. And something comes to you. It's incredible. Third principle. Find something that can serve a human need and can help people. If you can find that, you're probably onto a good business thing. You have to meet a need. You can't sell me a saddle if I don't even like horses. So it's important that you do that. And that's not so easy, but COVID has made it very easy because we've all realized we've got loads of needs. And so no matter what it is, even if it's, some guy reinvented the clothes peg the other day. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a plastic goodie, and it hasn't got wood, so it doesn't chop down trees, and it's got this hasn't got that funny little spring that breaks. This is an amazing little thing. I don't know how he thought of that, but he's selling millions of these things. And it's just a simple thing. And you can use it to do a whole bunch of stuff besides peg your clothes. But you'll have to Google that. The fourth principle of my 12 is you've got to know your numbers. Even if you have a bad report at school, and even if you failed maths, it is no excuse. You have to know your numbers. And when I say numbers, I'm talking about your stock. Your stock is a number. Whatever you buy, you have to understand it, know it, and be very aware of where it is. You also have to count productivity, people's productivity, and your own productivity. That's what you've got to count. You've got to be very aware of that. You've also got to count service levels to your customers. If you don't count those, I don't think you will really understand what your business is doing. And then count money. Of course, you've got to count your money. And it's not a greedy thing, and it's not like that movie Scrooge where he's counting and hoarding his money. But you've got to know if you're losing money. You see, because you've got to do that basic accounts. And if you don't run squeaky clean accounts, you're going to go the wrong way because they tell you stories about your business. So people all my life told me, if you want peace and you want to stay on top of your business, you have to measure everything. And if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And it's one of those frustrating sentences that I've heard in my life. It just rings in my head all the time. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And I'm going, yeah. And it took me years and years and years to work out. You measure everything. You measure how much toilet paper is used in your canteen. You just do it. Because if you're using 60 in one month and 20 in the next month, you just know you've got a dishonest person somewhere, or there's a problem along the line. Someone's ripping you off of 20 toilet rolls. Have you bought 20 toilet rolls before? Do you know how much they cost? They are flippin' expensive. You can't afford, if you're running a business, to lose a single toilet paper roll. Yeah. So the measuring thing is important, and I can't emphasize that more. The fifth principle is that you have to cherish those that are in your team. And I've been blessed with an awesome team. A brother who's been by my side, sure, since day one, every single battle, he's there. A mother that is crazy. She's been my accountant all my life. And she just counts and makes sure that she balances. And so when the auditors come and do an audit, we're always 5 cents out, and she is in a stress. Now, 5 cents for an entire year of trading, it's incredible. And she's one of those women that just will find the 5 cents. And if she doesn't, she doesn't sleep. And that's been such a building block between my brother and my mother and my father. They've been an amazing support system to the family business, and just you can't do it. So the point of this principle is that you must cherish those people, and you must acknowledge them. And it's very tough to do that because you're the guy running this business. You've got to get up and have a bold face, and you haven't got time to sit and thank people and phone my mom and say, oh, I really appreciate what you do for me. It doesn't come naturally because you're worrying about the guy stealing your toilet paper, or the guy doing something worse, or someone getting bad service. And so you get this focus of, you get this zone in on just everything is about my business. So don't leave or forget those people around you. And those people will always be with you, and it's not always family. Sometimes it's often team members. It's your own managers. It's your own staff. It could be one person in the kitchen that always tells you that, the eggs are off today. And if they didn't tell you that, you would serve rotten eggs to 10 people. That person is, rock solid in your life. And so it's those small things that you need to do. Sixth principle, don't be a martyr to the world. You need to keep yourself healthy, and you need to keep yourself well rested, and you need to show up to your family positively. And you can't keep saying to yourself, but guys, I'm making all these sacrifices for you, because they don't want to hear that. It took me years to work that out. Years of tough relationships, tough family dynamics. You really, really can't crucify yourself in the name of paying school fees and putting food on the table. It just doesn't work like that. They want you. They want you to come home happy, because if you're away from home so long and you come home unhappy, they think you're loony. And my family thought I was crazy for a while. Why does he come home always in a bad mood? Why does he come home always stressed? Why does he do that to himself? Why does he go off for 18 hours just working himself to a standstill? Why does he let his health, get worse? Why does he pick up weight and not worry? Why does he not go to church? Why does he do all these things? And so when you see it from their lens, you go, oof, maybe there's a lot to learn in terms of how you conduct your life. And if you are miserably unhappy at work, and it does often happen, or in your own business, then you sell it and you move on, because then maybe you've lost that little gift that you thought you found isn't the gift that you're really looking for, and so you're going to go look for it again. Principle 7, you have to speak to your customers. And everybody's got a customer, even the bank, although sometimes it's hard to believe that. But yeah, I am a bank customer, but everybody has a customer. If you're an accountant, your customers are your clients. Anybody that does a little deposit into your bank account, and if you don't know who they are, just open up your statement and you see who your customers are and who you're paying out. Every single staff member is a customer of yours. They're yours. They're your customers. So you have to speak to customers as often as you can. We heard that in the last month's talk about sales. How much time are you spending in doing sales? And that was an amazing talk, because that's exactly what resonated with me. How much time do I spend on the coal face? So it's this vacillation, guys, from being in the engine room, counting toilet rolls and scrubbing the floor, and then running up and phoning the bank and checking that everyone's fine and that you've got cash flow for the next day. And then you run back in and you see if the burger patties are okay, they look a bit fatty, and then you run back and so it's this continual vacillation between what I call the engine room and the captain's desk or the captain's deck. And so that's a balance, a tightrope walk in between those two. Principle 8, talk to your staff daily. And it's hard, guys, because sometimes you haven't got money in the bank. You can't pay for the next delivery of food to serve the next customer that wants a burger, and you're stuck. And when you walk in, it's so hard not to take it out on everybody at work and to get angry. And when you get angry, what do? You normally stop talking. Well, boys do. Boys definitely stop talking. I know girls maybe do the opposite, but I'm talking to the boys right now. We go quiet. We don't say anything. It's the same in marriages. When your husband talks a lot, you know he's happy. Cherish that. So here's a little tip on Principle 8. Try and talk to your staff for 10 minutes. This is kind of the policy that I follow. If I walk into the stores, I find my newest employee, and I spend 10 minutes with the newest employee that's been hired. Because you see, they're still fresh and keen, and they'll tell you everything. There's no clicks, and there's no hiding, and they don't know anything. So they're going to tell you exactly what's going down in your business. But it fades after a while, because the others get them together, and they go like, no, we don't do it like that, and you don't say that to that man. And so the 10 minutes with new staff is incredible. But you also learn a lot, because they come with fresh eyes. And those fresh eyes are so valuable. And so even if you don't need to hire someone, just hire someone. Or just do this, what I do sometimes. I interview someone and I say, listen, you'll have to spend a day in my store and then to feel what it's like, if you're going to like this. And then at the end of the thing, I go and catch them and I say, okay, tell me, what did you see? What did you see? Talk me through your day. What did you see? And it's so much insight that you get. And you get that insight from customers too. And so building relationships with customers is so critical. And I've written here, speak to your customers as often as you can. Get them to be in a place that they can be truthful to you about your business. Okay. So it's hard, because sometimes your friends and your family and people that you know have a bad experience in your business. And you go to them and you say, hey, so how was it? And they go, no, it was lovely, it was fine. It's not a true friend, that. They've got to tell you at some point, even if they phone you or text you, they've got to tell you the truth. So the more you can build those relationships with customers to get truth out of them, you need to rather know than don't know. So on to the staff. 10 minutes of new staff, 20 minutes with an existing staff member and 30 minutes with your managers. If you can spend time with them. And that's all. And you don't have to go there and look fancy with a clipboard and notes and a whole agenda and I saw your profitability and it wasn't very good last week. That's not the talk that you have. You just sit and talk about the business and ask questions. And that was a big thing that came out of Barry's chat last month. And I sat there and said, I've got to ask more questions because I can also preach like I'm now doing. Preach to my staff, and I preach and I talk and I talk. And I only realized 30 years on that it just was nice to hear you, and everyone nods in the room, but they don't change, they don't do things. It's because you haven't come down to their level and you haven't asked them, so how do you really feel? And what's the biggest challenge in your life, in your day? And it's simple things, guys. Oh, my toast is broken. Oh, really? But I reported it 5 months ago. Oh, really? Oh, so how do you toast a bun? No, I walk across to the gas burner and I hold it on a spatula and I just get it nice and warm and then I walk and you go, oh my goodness. And it's a weird thing. It's like a conspiracy theory against you in your own business. Everybody keeps those important things down because he's going to say, why didn't you report it? And he's going to say, where's the manager? Did you do your checklist and check if the toasters, and then it becomes a mess. So everybody goes against you. It's unfortunately how it really works. So you got to go and hunt for clues in your business in terms of how it's really going. Principle 9. Educate your customers. Yes, educate your customers. You see, they may have a different expectation of what you offer. And so you've got to go back and you've got to sit with them again and again and again, and you've got to teach them what you can do for them and what you can offer them. And you do that every single day. But you also teach your staff every single day. And you teach yourself something every day. I don't know who can make that commitment, but if you make that commitment today and nothing else, that you're going to find this little phone of yours, mine's on my table. It's amazing. You can get a degree on a mobile phone. Did you know that? You don't need UCT. And they'll take your money. They won't even reject you. You can sign up for any course as long as you're prepared to pay. And some of them are free. There are loads of free things. There's no reason for someone, and you don't even need airtime, because you go to a restaurant and you park there, even in the car park, and you take their Wi-Fi and you study. If you want to study, you will study, and it doesn't cost a cent. And the future top business people will not have degrees. They will just have learned from their cell phone. You can learn anything. I can learn right now how to make French toast. And I just have to Google French toast. And 30 chefs will tell me how to make the most amazing French toast. So if you can't balance your ledger, then you can just Google that, and it'll come to you. It's an amazing thing, the internet. So education is such a big thing. And at Jackson's, we have 3 main priorities. The first one is to educate, and then unfortunately the second one is to, and unfortunately the third one is also education. We're a dead brand if we don't educate people on there is another way to do stuff. There's another way to run your body. There's another way to look after this temple that we have, that we've been given. Because God's an amazing, amazing thing. Because what he did was he gave us a planet, right? And this planet was perfect. And it's sometimes called the Garden of Eden, but it's got perfect soil, sparkling oceans, packed with fish, packed with animals, packed with fruit, packed with vegetables. Man. And what have we done to it? I don't think he's too proud of us right now. We haven't done enough justice there. But he gave it to us. And then he did more. He gave you. And it's amazing how this body's still alive after what I've been through. The stress and the anguish and the sicknesses and all those things. But it's an amazing biochemical thing. And the wonderful thing about the human body, because God knew up front that we were going to mess with this planet, and we did, And he also knew we were going to mess with our bodies, which we do. We do terrible stuff to our bodies. And the basic one is eating the wrong food and giving yourself the wrong nutrition, the wrong fuel to do the job. Okay? I've never found a racehorse trainer feeding his horse the cheapest food on the planet. They buy the most expensive non-GMO organic oats. Oh, why would they do that? Because they want the horse to go somewhere and do something and have a mission. And so we don't do that to ourselves. And that's pretty sad. And you can change that overnight. What's beautiful about the human body is that it takes 3 weeks. 3 weeks at the most to change, do a total change. It took me 3 weeks of moving from a previous lifestyle to a new lifestyle after understanding what my body needed to consume and what I mustn't consume. And boom, in 3 weeks' time, I was a different person, a totally different human being. And guess what? You get your personality back. God gave you an amazing personality, guys. All of you. And you just lost it along the way. You've trashed your personality. And you've become a person you don't always like. And that's not cool. You have to fix yourself. Your body's your temple. You've got to sort it out. You've got to sort your head out. You've got to get your spirituality right. You've got to get your fitness right. You have to get this old booze pump going. It has to go to max. You can't drive a car, guys. You can't drive a car at 60 and then one day expect it to fly on the highway. Every now and again, for those of you who don't drive fast, do yourself, it's quite fun, eh? Just go on the highway and you go 130 and you, woo! But you got to push that car to the max. Why? Because you want to know that one day, if you have to push it to the max, can you perform? Can you perform? Will you be able to run away from the baddie or work 3 nights in a row to get your books done or to meet a deadline? You got to do these things. What does a little impala do? He goes around foraging, right? And they pick all the good stuff because that little impala has to fuel itself. And it fuels itself for one reason. And we saw that in the video last month. His main object in his life is never to be last when he's running away from the lion. He doesn't be the last guy, he wants to be the second last guy, then he's good. And so he concentrates all day about fueling himself correctly so that he can smell when there's a lion, he can see when there's a lion, he can hear when there's a lion, and that's what he needs to do. And so you are no different. How blurry are you some mornings? How many coffees does it take you to wake up or think that you've woken up? Okay. Can you see the lion if it clapped you in the face? Could you smell a lion? And there's tons of lions in the business world. You've got to be really careful. So unless you invest in yourself, you are dead in the water. You have to change your regime. Stop sacrificing yourself for your business, because one day your business won't have you, and then your family won't have you, and you won't have the business, and then it's a bit messy, isn't it? Like, what has this all been worth? Right. Principle 10. Pray for success and sales unashamedly. Unashamedly. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You have to pray. You have to pray. And we do pray as a management team often. We pray through our WhatsApp channels, and we ask. Because if I never asked that oak in McDonald's, if I could one day run a McDonald's, I never would have had that experience. And so you've got to ask. And you've got to ask. And you won't get 99% of the time. But if everything's lined up, and your planets are lined up, and God's timing is God's timing, which we never have access to, boom, you'll move forward. Because He's looking for people in this world to walk and do stuff to fix the planet and the people on the planet. Heal the land, heal the people. That's what we have to do. And so I think, not being very prophetic, because I'm not one of those prophetic people, but I do sometimes feel really sorry for God. Because I think He sits down and He goes, Where are you? So what do? It's the same. You got to put your hand up, right? You got to put your hand up. And so that's the way God can see you. And He can look at a crowd, He can look at a nation, He can look at a planet, and He can see that's an oak or that's a lady that has good intentions, has a fantastic heart, believes, and wants to change the world. And I'm going to use that person to make this world of ours much better. And if we can get more of those people activated, we will fix South Africa and the country and the world in how many weeks? 3. Because that's all it takes. 3 weeks of intense focus on a problem fixes it, like your own health. So there's really no excuse for the situation we're in. We have ourselves to blame. And God's a patient God. He will wait generations if He has to. But He wants you to wake up, and that's the call. Let's wake up, guys. And you often I get told this, Gary, wake up and smell the roses. And actually, that's what I'm going to do from here on out. So, number 11, principle 11, don't measure yourself just on profit. Every business school will tell you, that's it, profit, 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 return on investment, return on investment. Most of the businesses that focus only on profit become evil type of businesses. They do the wrong things for the planet, they do the wrong things for humanity, and they don't serve the higher power. So you may think I'm mad, but you do need profit. I don't make a lot of profit. In fact, we're just kind of breaking even. And we've now resigned ourselves to the fact that just above break even is a great place to be. It's fantastic. You're not going to do better. Why? Because we're doing other stuff. We're investing in people. And we're investing in the planet because we want to wake people up to help fix this planet. We are working with communities to uplift them, farmers, suppliers. We're trying to incubate new businesses. We're doing all this stuff. And we're making a massive impact. So go home at night and ask yourself not how much money you've made. Ask yourself what impact have you made every single day. Last principle. So if you can take one thing away, and I think I heard this last month, try and take 3 things away from every talk that you go to. If I was sitting on your seat, I would take number 12 as the one of the 3 things that I would like to take home and implement. You have to understand that I don't think you can run a business without God in a business. I don't think you can. I've tried many times, and it didn't work. And when I do have God in my business and my life, it just works. Not ideally, but man, it works. Somehow, the doors are still open every day, miraculously. And so, you have to understand and start understanding that God is the chairman of your board. He's the chairman of your board. He's the father of you. And He's your spiritual business consultant. There's no business consultant that you can spend any money on that can help you more than God can. You just got to listen. Just got to listen. And He wants the best for you, and you have to consult Him every single day. Ask Him what's next. And He doesn't talk to you in a loud speaker. He talks to you through people. He talks to you through meetings. He talks to you through videos, to talks. He talks to you in a million ways. But if you don't have your ears open, you're going to not hear a thing. And so it just becomes like a garble, like you're underwater. You don't hear the clear voices. So you've got to make sure that you position yourself that you can hear. And that's so, so critical. So my last little quote, and then I'm happy to take some questions, is never give up. Your battle will never end. Make peace with that. Enjoy the ride, and just put one forward in front of the other one every single day, and never stop moving. Thank you very much.
Wow. Sure, Gary. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks
That
very
was
much.
brave. You know, to be real and to be authentic, you know, you literally leave a piece of yourself in the room. And that's what you've done for us today, Gary. You've taken all your pain, all your trials and tribulations, and you can tell by your story that there's deep, 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 deep journeys of what you've triumphed and persevered through. And I think that's why I've been emotional since I got in the car this morning, because it's much the same. Nobody knows those moments when you're on your knees except you and God in desperation, or your mother that stood by you through thick and thin, or that person and just knows the pain, how often you've been that close to losing everything, your dream, the pain you carry when you know you've got staff to pay and water and lights, and you've got to keep your doors open because it's actually not just about you or your business. You've got staff, you've got people, you've got 350 farmers whose little businesses are reliant on you. That is a massive, massive weight to carry. And you carry it well, Gary. And I'll just share with you guys, we prayed, and we'll share a slide just now. Got a prophetic word for Gary. We saw popcorn, and we'll share a little bit more. But we saw in a pot oil. And you know how popcorn starts to pop and you get the odd popcorn. And we'll go back to the slide just now. Thanks, Chris. But if you can remove it. Thanks. But when you see because that's for you guys, this is for Gary. When you see the popcorn pop, and there's one or two, and then all of a sudden we saw from today when all of that popcorn starts, it gets that momentum, and it just goes ba 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 ba, and the whole pot is full, and you've got a lid on, and it's pushing through. And so, Gary, we speak that over your life and your business today.
Thank you.
And we just say more.
Thank you.
May God enlarge your territory. May stretch wide your tents, Gary.
Awesome.
Stretch wide your tents. You've only just begun. What you've seen is the odd kernel pop, and they've been significant, and you've had an impact. But God says the best is yet to come. Wow. And He's going to use you mightily and powerfully. And may that popcorn pop and pop and pop and pop and overflow and never run dry. So God bless you for what you've given us today and how you've shared your heart. That's amazing. So we are going to take a couple of questions. We've got time maybe for 2 or 3. Are there any burning questions? He who goes first gets the opportunity. There we go. We got one at that table. Fantastic.
Morning, Gary. How are you doing?
Good, good.
The name is Stefan. Yonggi Cha speaks about being pregnant with something. And there was a time that you were pregnant with this concept. And you live it, you breathe it, you think it, you sleep it, you pray it. But then there's a reality of the day-to-day, facing the giants, cash flow, people, all of that stuff. How do you keep going?
It's the hardest thing to do. And no one understands, no one, not one employee in South Africa understands how tough it is to keep going. They don't understand because they don't know that you're the one that faces all the consequences. If you can't write that rent check, legal letter next day. If you can't buy chips for tomorrow's service, it's done. So it's very, very hard. And I don't know that I can answer your question. I don't know how. It's just absolute grit. You've just got to bite down hard, and you just got to keep going, and it's really tough. And ask for help. I think that's most men, and I generalize, don't ask for help. It's a bit of a sad state. But as a businessman and a male, you're terrible because you think you're invincible, or you're supposed to be invincible, and so you don't ask for help. And so I learned after many, many, many failures to ask many people for their opinion. And you never take one person's opinion. You listen to 10 people, and you try and build this inner circle of brothers or sisters that you can talk to. And I think that helps you go. But, you know, a good example on that one is we opened Jackson's in that new shop, a little 2-garage store. And honestly, we had 3 customers a day. And we had a shop full of food and no one came. And it was terrible. And I don't know how I kept going. Because 2 customers a day were tough. So what I did was I started phoning everyone on my contact list and said, free coffee, my new shop, come check it out. But you've got to sit there and drink it. Because I wanted it to look full. And so they would come and sit and bring their laptops and just work. And then other people would say, gee, what's going on there? That place is full. And then they'd come in. And from 3 customers, it went to 4. And then from 4, it went to 5. And from 5, it went to 6. And what kept me going, I think, was that if a customer came back, then I knew I'd won something. And that's all you want. If your customers come back the second time, you know you can keep going. And I think that gave me the courage and strength. And it went from 1 and 2 to 30,000 now. It's just unbelievable. So it's so hard. So hard.
Awesome. Another question. One last one. Anyone with the burning? Sure, we got a lot of meat today. Oh, there we go. Yes.
Hi, Gary. Name's Ronald. When you were speaking, you said that God is a very patient man. And I want to know for you, how long did it take for you to master patience? How long did it take for you to understand that, one, the Lord you serve is a patient man, and he's waiting for you to be patient to realize your dream? So, how long did it take you to do that?
Sure. So I don't think, and I'm certainly not proud of the many, many years that I wasn't connected to God in the way I should have been. I knew about him, and I was told to pray, and I prayed every single night, and I said, gentle Jesus, meek and mild, look upon this little child. God bless Granny, God bless Daddy. And I did that, and then but that's not really praying, is it? But that's what I did every day, and I went to church, I went to Sunday school, because my parents told me to do that. So I think I then, once I got a little bit of my tail up, and that was after winning that All-Rounders Award, and then becoming a prefect, and then getting into varsity, and then I started thinking, no, well, I'm bulletproof. So it's me. This is all me. And so what I did was I spent and wasted, well, you don't really waste, but threw away 20 to 30 years of my life thinking it was me, and I'm invincible, and this is about me. And I just came crashing down to earth one day and realized it's absolutely not me. And I'm just literally God's screwdriver, and he just works me. And I work, and I'm the screwdriver. That's all I really am. And so I know that God's a very patient God, because he saw me for 20 years. It was almost like Moses in the desert. He saw me doing some stuff that, he was sitting back, and he must have been saying, so why is he doing that? Why is he being a bastard? And why is he running his business on non-godly principles? Why is he drinking too much tequila? Why is he doing this? Why is he hurting that person? And when's he going to realize that, he keeps failing and maybe there's another way? So he watched me for a long time before he was prepared to move. And so I think when I got to that end point, it took a long time. And because I've obviously got some kind of grit in me, I really pushed his patience to the limit. Because he had much other plans, much more that he wanted me to do. And I was wasting his time. And I don't know why he didn't intervene earlier, but I wasn't ready. And I couldn't. I wasn't in that place. I just couldn't understand. And so he'll wait for you to prepare yourself. You got to prepare yourself. And that's when his patience will come to an end. So you got to really think through how you live your life, who you spend time with, what you do, what you watch, what you see, how you interact. And I don't think he's going to see your hand if you aren't a living example of what God really wants us to do on this planet. Because we are His army. But some of us are asleep at our desks.
Gary, thank you. Yes. You're amazing. And then this generous man gives us 2 incredible gift vouchers. Gary, thank you. Bless you for your heart. And I thought maybe a cappuccino at his restaurant. 500 rand. I mean, I didn't put my business card in here, drat. Okay, so whoever wins, pick me, because you cannot spend $500 on your own.
And there are 2 prizes.
There's 2 prizes, so we're going to draw 2 cards out. Gary's going to do it, so I'm not in trouble for picking the wrong people.
That's the one.
Who do we have? Nikki Thompson.
That's a customer.
A customer. You see, you deserve it, Nikki, because you support Come Up, because you support this business. And let me tell you, Jackson's is my favorite. Following a mostly vegan diet, I love Jackson's. It's amazing. Congratulations, Nikki.
Awesome. You deserve it.
That's awesome. Right, next one. Drum roll. Stacy LaRue from Frost Popsicles. Ooh, is Frost Popsicles, that's a lucky table. Oh, that is amazing. We prayed over that table specifically last night. That's crazy. Congratulations.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, well done, Stacy. Are your popsicles natural? Okay, so you're going to have a conversation with Gary to stock your popsicles, eh? Always be selling. Gary said it, always be selling. Gary, thank you so much. Bless you, man. Another round of applause. Thank you, Gary. Wow. Tombs will close in prayer for us.
Thank you. May we please, as we opened in prayer, close and thank the Lord. Oh, Lord Jesus. Wow, I'm so happy. Can I just say thank you? Thank you for the joy in this place. Thank you for your Holy Spirit that has flowed in this place. Thank you for all the sharing, all the heart. Thank you for all the testimonies that will come out of today's session. We thank you for the words that were shared. We thank you that they spoke to your people. Thank you, Father, that you continuously speak. We thank you that in our desert moments you speak. In our mountaintops you speak. We thank you that you are forever upon us. We thank you, Holy Spirit, that you are within us. As we come out, may we touch others the way you have touched us. May we be the blessing to others as you have blessed us. Bless the business, bless the team, bless everything about this ministry. In your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen.